All right, welcome back. This is part three of the Alien Predators characters tier list. I got through Alien and Alien versus Predator so far. We just have Predators left, Predator movies left. So let's see, it's Predator, uh, Predator 2, Predator Killer of Killers, Predators with an S, and The Predator, I think is the last one. So hopefully we can get through these and then rank them. We'll be good for the tier list. So we have Predator first, and this is Anna. I think I don't even know if they really say her name in the movie. Maybe they do. But she is the hostage of the group. So when they go attack the folks in the jungle, you got the Russians, you got the cartel or whatever they're attacking. She's the one that's left. She comes with them. She's like speaking Spanish, you don't understand, and then you realize, oh, she speaks English, and she's telling them a little bit of what they're facing. So over a little bit of time, she gains enough trust to listen when she's told to get to the chopper. So she is kind of a side character. She does survive. I thought she was fine, like because it added a little something to the movie. It wasn't like anything distracting either, where you have this like bumbling person, like why is she surviving? And obviously the predator tries to only attack those that have a weapon on them, and she picks up a weapon and Dutch kicks it away, so it kind of saves her. So yeah, I thought Anna was fine. I don't know that she was anything spectacular, but I'll have her as okay. She's kind of in this okay category. Um, all right, we got Billy. So Billy is the like Native American warrior, tracker, has that sixth sense kind of deal. Senses stuff in the trees, doesn't feel right. They get spooked when Billy gets spooked. Cool character, fun character. Always like Billy. I and I don't know if there's like extra scenes or stuff. So if there was, I don't know. But I think he dies off camera, uh, from what I saw, which I was a little disappointed by. I wanted to see him battle a little bit with the Predator. Didn't really happen. I mean, he kind of made his last stand, and then you just hear him screaming. So maybe there is a version or something where you actually get to see it. But yeah, Billy's really cool. Love Billy. I'm gonna have Billy in my awesome category. All right, we got Blaine. So Blaine is Jesse Ventura. He's got the cool hat, got the big gun. He's got a lot of little good one-liners in Predator. I thought he was fun. He dies what second, I think. But he's pretty good with that gun. Pretty like formidable, I guess. So it wasn't like an easy kill or anything. And I liked him. I liked him. He added, his own personality as well. Doesn't really like he's kind of an a hole, but not really. He's kind of funny about it. So he's pretty fun. I'll have him in the great category. I like him a lot. All right, we have Apollo Creed or Dylan in the movie. Carl Weathers. Dylan is the dude that Dutch runs into when he first gets on the island, talks to him about the mission. He's the one who requested Dutch and his team come in. Dutch does the whole, famous scene with grabbing his arm and doing the arm wrestle and then beats him. But turns out he's lying about why they're there. They, are supposed to be like an extraction team, but this is like to take out the camp. And, he's got the soldiers he lost before. I can't remember the guy's name. But yeah, so, slowly Dutch realizes that, and then he, calls him out, fights him a little bit on like, what they're going to do and what they need to do. But ultimately he does kind of come to his senses a little bit. I mean, he makes a last stand with Mac. So he and Mac had a little bit of butting of heads, but Mac had taken a scorpion off of him. Yeah, so he ends up fighting at the end. He gets his arm blown off. Somehow the gun is still firing, which I don't know. I don't know does your finger still hold the strength once your arm's blown off? I don't know. But good special effects, fun special effects. But yeah, so the Predator ends up shooting him, but then runs him down and kills him. So he got like the best of both worlds of getting shot and stabbed. He's kind of, he pisses you off because of his personality and like, lying to the team and all that a little bit. But he's still a good character. He adds a lot to the movie. You kind of need a character like that. So I'll have him starting in the good category. All right, we got Dutch. So this is Arnold, the headliner of the movie. Dutch is a good leader, like for the most part, meaning uh, does good in the jungle, pays attention, trusts his people. They have their own skill sets, and he trusts them to do their thing. He is able to kind of react on the fly. He like picks up that truck, the old Arnold scene, and blows up the camp before starting to take people out. So that was cool. But then as the movie shifts from the whole like we're soldiers thing to like now we're in a sci-fi like alien hunt jungle movie. He does great like with all those scenes and all those lines that he's got, and then at the end it's super awesome. He goes all completely kind of nuts to kill the predator and has all the traps and everything set. I don't remember. There's like one thing where I was like, oh, well, that was kind of dumb. Oh, I know what it was. It was they were, and I may be misremembering this. They were like going in the helicopter. This is after Dylan had convinced them to go, and he says something like, "Okay, well, how do we get extracted?" And Dylan's like, "This is a one-way trip," or something like that. Or we don't have one. And he's like, "Oh, okay." It's like, well, dude, you ask those questions before you leave, or hopefully at least he would have lied and said, "No, I lied." But yeah, I didn't even ask the question. It's like, dude, if we're going in there, I'd like to know how we're getting out. But anyway, Dutch is awesome. Uh, Unfortunately, does not return. They wanted him to return. You want another character. He does show back up though in Killer of Killers at the very end as somebody who's in like cryo sleep. I whatever, that's fine. I like to see Dutch and all that, but I don't know that it'd be the best way to do it. I personally, and I said this in the other video, I always wanted a revenge movie where Arnold somehow gets enlisted to take the Predator, get a Predator ship and take it back to their planet, and he becomes the hunter and they become the prey. That's what I want a prey to be. Or an older grizzled Arnold. A little late now, but yeah, he's really cool in the series for sure. So he's in the Supreme category. Okay, then we get down. I think this is Hawkins. So Hawkins is the first to die. Chasing after Anna, she kind of gets away. She's a couple times she like gets away, and which is fine. They're kind of creeped out and trying to figure out what's going on, and she just throws leaves in their face or something. But Hawkins chased her down, ends up having the Predator like behind him or somewhere and kills him. He is, I guess, is this Shane Black who does the directing for Iron Man 3 and then the Predator and Killer of Killers. I think he did that one too. Not the best director in my opinion. Also, not my favorite in this movie. He is kind of a jokester, but I didn't really like get his purpose too much. I don't remember if he was like the demolition expert or whatever, but it's like, okay, just make these vulgar jokes, try to make Billy laugh. He does make Billy laugh, and then the Predator gets Billy's laugh. But otherwise, he doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose. So I'm actually going to have Hawkins in the okay category. Like if he wasn't in the movie, would I have really noticed? Probably not. All right, Mac. I will say this: upon rewatch of Predator, I hadn't seen it in a while. I've seen it a few times, but it's been a while since I watched it. Mac is probably the one that I liked more watching now than I used to or I remembered. He's got a little more depth to him, as crazy as it sounds. It's just a movie with some mercenaries, but he is, he's got a good sense of like revenge when his friends die, and he wants to go after the Predator, but he's not like super crazy, where it's like, I'm just going to go run out there and try to kill this thing. He's like hiding in the bushes and, has a plan. The plan doesn't work, and he ends up dying. The Predator sneaks up on him and then gets him in the head with the laser guided shot. But he's pretty cool, pretty pretty formidable as a fighter and gunner. So I liked Mac, and I thought he was a good addition to the crew. Made it pretty far. I will have. Let's see how balanced we are here. I'll just kind of have him in the gray category to start. I thought he was a good character for sure. All right, didn't even know if I should include this one, but this is Phillips. Phillips is just the like general that brings Dutch in. Dylan requested him, and then this is the trustworthy general, kind of like you have in Rambo. It's the guy trusts. And he's fine. He's loyal. He does his thing. He doesn't like screw him over or anything. He's not really a big part of the movie. He's just at the beginning explaining things, and then the helicopter stuff at the end. So I'll just say he was okay. Like I don't know, he played a big part. All right, and then lastly, again, a little smaller cast here. We have Poncho. So Poncho is like the stable force, stable mind in the group is what it feels like. Like he's just the soldier who's kind of got his stuff together and doesn't really panic, but he also, ends up dying. I think it's like a blunt force thing. But yeah, he was a good character. I thought he was fine. I don't know that I'd have him his like great, but he's pretty close. He'll be up in this section too. So we might move him around. But yeah, he's a nice little stabilizing force within the group. All right, that takes us to Predator 2. I've got a few characters in here that don't play huge roles, but I thought, yeah, we'll keep them in because they are in film. So this is a campier movie than Predator 1. It's kind of got that 90s vibe to it. Was in 1990, but the movie's set in like 97. There's a huge drug war going on, which was, pretty much like a lot of the violence and stuff to start, to set the tone, gives the Predator a lot of casualties to take. But I said it before, the Predator did a good job fighting the drug trade in this one. He takes out what are they? I can't remember the gang names or whatever, if there was like a Jamaican gang and a Colombian gang or something like that. But the first guy we have here is Archuleta. So Archuleta is Danny Glover's, and we will get to Danny Glover's hair again, but Archuleta is the deputy or whatever. And he, upon suspicion, later on kind of goes out on his own and hunts through the apartment where the Predators killed some of the gang members or one of the leaders. Scrapes around, finds I think one of the Predator's weapons or an artifact, and then the Predator ends up getting him. Picks him up and kills him. You see the blood splatter on the floor. He plays a moderately minor role to me. He's there. He's around in the early parts of the movie, but he's not like this overpowering character to me, and he's really not that strong of like a second man, which I know maybe, he just needed to kind of be replaced by Bill Paxton. But yeah, he was okay. Like I didn't find him to be a very intriguing character. I thought they could have done more with that character. It's not that he's bad, but if you put a different like actor in that role, I don't know that it would really mattered, and unless they made the character do more. All right, then we have Cantrell. So Cantrell is also a member of the police force, just another police officer. She is, I think this is the same girl from Running Man, which I got the shirt on. So she is pregnant, which you don't know until the Predator almost kills her. Predator is getting ready to kill her, could have killed her, but saw that she was pregnant. So she was down on the subway after the subway turmoil. He caught up to her, but she survived. She had, I think she got taken out, so she was like in the hospital or something after that. But for the most part of the movie, she's a nice little side character. She gets hit on and pushes back, and she's one of those like, police girls that like Bill Paxton, I think, was the one hitting on her, and then she pushes back. So it's got some spunk to her, pretty cool. I thought she was fine. She's a nice little side character. I thought she had more impact than Archuleta, so I'll just have her as good. in good category. All right, here's one of those characters. We got El Scorpio. So he's one of the, I think, leaders or big men within one of the gangs, like the Colombian gang or whatever that gang was. I believe he does like cocaine and then like gets super hyped before he gets taken out. But it was pretty crazy, pretty funny. I thought it was okay. I'll just keep it in there. I don't want to give him too much credit, but it was a nice little side cameo. And I'll hop down because we have King Willie, who's like the other or another gang leader who finds the predator, tries to do voodoo or something to like stop him. And then you just see his head getting, it's like a neat little shot where you like see his face getting ready and then it's just his head getting carried away by the predator. But he has, some of the lore and everything about what they believe the monster is and all this. So I thought he was kind of funny too. So we'll have him in the okay category. A little campy, but whatever. All right, a couple other minor characters here. Garber, I recognize the actor. I've seen him in other things. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. I should. It would probably pop into my head. But he's like Key's secondhand man with the government stuff. Kind of not the muscle, but he'll like come up and back him up. So he was fine. He's like kind of a cool little character. I'll have him in as okay. All right. We'll skip Harrigan for a second because I said we had a couple small. So this other guy I wanted to keep in mind, Heineman. I think he's another police leader that kind of gets pissed off at how Danny Glover's doing his job. I remember him. I'll have him as okay. Like these characters aren't forgettable. That's why I have them in here. They have a purpose to play. Then we have, I'm going to skip down here and go to, I think this is McCord. So McCord's the other police. Like, I feel like this is like the commissioner or some higher up. I could be wrong. He is a little more sensical. He gives free rein to his folks. He's a good enough commissioner. I'll have him in okay. But he'll probably be higher up in that group too. Again, I don't want to like start throwing people up in good when they're not good. All right. Then the last like kind of minor character we have is Tony Pope. So Tony Pope is a reporter. And he always comes in with these like side stories and he's really, over zealous with his reporting, very judgmental of like what they're doing and why they're not solving anything, how the reporters can get. I go back and forth on him because some of those scenes like kind of not take me out of the movie, but it just gets a little too campy. He does get knocked out though at one point, which was kind of funny. So yeah, he's a tough one. I'll start him out in okay. He adds a little bit of comic relief, which you really don't need in a Predator movie, but whatever. All right, so three of the main characters we have here. We have the main character. We'll start with the main character here. So you kind of get the Lethal Weapon, Danny Glover, right? With this, Harrigan is very similar to me, a little more than his Lethal Weapon character. He's a little bit more like assertive and goes to take things out because that tended to be Mel Gibson a bit. But anyway, it's got that vibe. He does a good job though. He does a good job at being like the lead police officer, kind of investigating things and then working and understanding what was going on with like Keys and the DEA guys not being really DEA and they've got something secret going on. And then he has a good showdown with the Predator at the end and holds his own and ends up learning the special gun at the end that we see in Prey. So Harrigan was good. I like Danny Glover a lot. I thought he did good. I'm glad he's also in Killer of Killers. I'm going to have him in the awesome category. I thought he was a character I like to see. Thought he did good in the movie. All right, we have Keys. So Keys is Gary Busey, and he is he says he's DEA. They're actually part of some government task force. I think I said this in the other video, but I remembered him as being more of like a bad guy, meaning, oh, I'm not letting you get in. I might get you killed kind of deal, for my own purpose. But he wasn't that. he actually, when like Danny Glover figured stuff out and they met at the plant or factory or whatever it was that they were hiding out in, that he let him in and explained or showed him on video like some of what they had figured out. So he let him into it, and then he was supposed to just watch as they did this. Tried to trick the predator, that didn't trick him. Gary Busey gets what you think is killed, but he comes back. He's not quite dead, and then he ends up dying. But he tries to like push Danny Glover out. He's like, Harrigan, you leave. I got this. This guy's mine, and he gets killed. But he had a better arc, than I thought. There was some tension where he's putting him up against the wall and Gary Busey, but he doesn't like punch him or anything. So pretty restrained. I like his character. I'll have him as a great character. I liked it. All right, Bill Paxton as second coming in this tier list, but this time he is Lambert. Relation to the other Lambert? I don't think so, but who knows? So Lambert is the hotshot young police officer who gets transferred into their precinct, and their precinct's like a war zone because of all the gang violence and everything. And so he gets thrown into it, but he wanted to be there. So I guess he's trying to make a name for himself, and he's, cocky. He goes after the ladies. He's, willing to like get in a fight and all that. Walks by, I think, it's in the subway and he walks by a TV. It's like a police brutality news segment. It's him like punching somebody. He's like, hey, that's me. You want my autograph or something like that. So he had a cool personality. He's funny. Gets on Harrigan's nerves a little bit at the beginning, and then they get to know each other a bit. So, it's not that long of a movie, and he's not in it like so much, but he makes his mark. That's what I like about Bill Paxton. He does good with the time he has. Now he ends up dying. He's in the subway. He makes a stand against the predator where it's killing all the people in the dark in the subway, and he's shooting at it, but he ends up getting killed. But he made his mark. I liked him a lot. Not that guy. I'm going to have him in great as well. I enjoyed those characters in Predator 2. Now, the movie, I think it could have taken just a little bit more of a serious tone, and those characters still would have worked well. But it's fine. All right, we have Killer of Killers. So this is the animated movie, the last one that I watched. And Harrigan, shows up at the end, and so does Dutch and the girl from Prey. And they're in like cryostasis or something, getting ready to try to fight predators again at some point. But these are the characters that are fighting the predator in this instance. Most of them there's a couple that are side characters. Maybe I'll do them first, then I'll talk through the other stories. So, I can just lump them together so the stories are together. So I'll put those two. So the first segment is around, it's probably like 800, 700, something like that. And it's like Norse style, Viking related story. They are going on a revenge tour. She had to kill her father when she was young, or he like made her kill him because the enemy, their main enemy, told him he had to do that or else he was going to kill the daughter, something like that. So she did it. She's lived a life you never see of just, building this vengeance, becoming this great warrior. So you find her as being this great warrior. And then she's there with her son, and her son is the little kid next to it. So her name's Ursa. He is Anders. They have to climb this mountain essentially and get to this giant fortress on a mountain. They break through the barricades at the base of it. She kills like 1 trillion people. So it's a little more of a, the action and everything's a little outside the realm of belief in this compared to maybe a normal Predator movie, as much as that can seem that way. But for the most part, those, Predator movies are practical for being sci-fi. This was more like, I'm jumping around and killing, 50 guys at once, which is a little jarring, but then you're like, okay, I get where they're going here. Anders is capable as well. It's not like it's her son. She, cares about him, loves him. You can just kind of sense that. There's not much backstory. These things are only 30 minutes long each. But he's a capable warrior. You can see that. So anyway, they get in, they find the king or what have you that forced her to kill her dad. The guy is like mocking her and doing the stuff, and it actually impacts her. She's like having a hard time with it a little bit, and then Anders just cuts his head off. So does the deed, just sees what's happening and is like, we're done with this. Then the predator attacks, and that's when it takes out all these warriors super quickly, like one shots, all these really capable warriors who just killed a bunch of people. So it leaves Ursa and Anders. Anders got knocked away, and he comes back into the fray a little bit. But long story short, he dies of wounds. She like is able to be over him and give him some words, or he gives her some words at the end. But he's fine, as a character. And then she is taken away as a slave to the predators, even though she wins. They kind of come back and they explain that later. But she's shown on a ship and then goes off into to fight the predators at the end. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But he's like the side character. This is Anders. I'll say he was okay. I didn't there wasn't enough time with him. There wasn't enough for me to like really invest or care. So we'll start in there and see where we go. Then we have the second group of characters here that's more of the like shogun era, samurai era of Japan. And so you have brothers Kenji and Kiyoshi. Kenji's the first one, Kiyoshi's the second one. Kenji, I'm going to get them right here. So they're young when you find them. They are training together. They're close. And then their father has them fight for who's going to be his replacement ultimately. And Kiyoshi is the more assertive one. He is willing to do it. Kenji's more hesitant. He plays defensive. He ends up getting beat, which is just really like getting cut on the cheek and knocked down. And then he goes into like exile, runs away at that point, and then you just see him in the future, and he's like a ninja, maybe a shogun, whatever you want to call it, samurai, don't know. But he is trying to go back to get revenge on his brother. So his brother is now the king, emperor, whatever it is of that world. So you see him sneaking around. He's trying not to like kill people necessarily, but when he runs into people, he takes them out. Then he gets and he fights his brother. And he defeats his brother, and his brother seems to perish by falling. Then the predator attacks, and Kenji is fighting, and Kiyoshi comes back and helps him fight. And so ultimately Kiyoshi gets injured, but they together end up killing the predator, and they are able to sit and reconcile before their death. Before his death, Kenji survives. And Kenji is taken away eventually by a predator, same place Ursa was going. So we'll just rank Kiyoshi for now. I thought Kiyoshi, again, was okay. There wasn't enough time to be like, oh, what's his, backstory enough to care. Like, I get the trope of what he is, but it's not enough for me to really, like, invest in him. Now, he'll be above some of these characters, but it's like, okay. And then the last segment is around World War II. These are pilots. You have Torres, who's a good pilot apparently, but not a good mechanic. And there's this whole thing about you have to be a good mechanic to your plane to really be a good pilot. He's stubborn about not learning and doing things apparently. Again, short segments, so you only get like the theme of it. But he goes from like working on his car with his dad and not being able to do something, having his dad bail him out. And his dad finally says no more. And then it shows him getting ready to, want to fly, but they're like, no, you can't even get your plane to work. He's like, look, I get it to work. It doesn't work. So then the predator attacks in a ship. It is a flying fight. This is a dog fight. It is not a predator on the ground fight. The predator ship has a lot of like the predator weapons, but they're on a ship. Like a grappling hook kind of deal, the net kind of deal, he'll use the like jet engines to burn a plane, that kind of thing. So anyway, there's a giant squadron that's led by Vandy. Vandy is Michael Biehn, actually. And so Vandy is kind of believes in Torres, but also is like, yeah, it's not really safe for you to be up here until you know what you're doing. So Torres says, screw it. He gets in his crappy plane, flies up there, uh, tries to like understand the behavior, and he does like the heat seeking problem, and like maybe if we climb and shut down our engines, like it won't find us and we can dive or whatever. But ultimately, Vandy gets killed. Torres is doing things like climbing out the plane to like get it to drop a bomb that he can't get off. This kind of weird stuff. But Vandy, we'll start with Vandy and then we'll go back because Torres survives. Torres ends up getting taken away by the Predators like the other two. Vandy was fine. He's like a fine. Again, there's not much to it. He's just the prototypical like captain. I didn't really feel like too much. Oh no, he died. It's like, okay. So that leaves these three. These three then come back for the last segment, a fourth segment, which is around them fighting the Predator and on the Predator world. Now, you think they're going to fight the Predator that comes out of the ship, but they don't. They're tasked with fighting each other first, and the winner has to face what they call Grendel, or Ursa calls him Grendel. So they start fighting. They've got like cuffs on their necks that blow up if you decide not to fight or something. So anyway, one of them gets like Torres gets like swallowed by this giant monster because it's like a gladiator pit. They put a monster out there, but he survives. It's not like it's like he's swallowed whole, and then he picks up a predator gauntlet and figures out how to use it to get their collars off. And then they go and he has commandeered a motorcycle. They like ride it up. They find the ship. They attack the Predator enough to get on the ship. They get ready to leave, but the Predator stops them. He's got like a grappling hook or gun that holds him back. So Ursa comes down and sacrifices herself to let the other two go. So the other two go, but then the Predators come after them in their ships, and Ursa gets taken away, put in a pod, and that's where you see her with Dutch and Hagen and those guys. So I know it's an overall synopsis, but I tell you all this because it doesn't really have a lot of depth with any character. You have to kind of assume you care about the character, be impressed with the character based off of what they're doing in the moment, which is fine. Some people will probably like super love some of these characters because they just appreciate the skill or the genre or something. I did not feel that connection. Like when I watched this movie, I needed more time. I needed more story, behind the scenes, growth type things. Like just even one more segment, if they would have made each like an hour long, like I would have been fine. Like making a little mini series or something, I'd have been fine. And I would have rather them do that where maybe you had like an 8-episode mini series and you added, I think I said in the other one, like a Greek warrior or a gunslinger type character or African tribe warrior, those types of things, and they don't. So it's kind of short. It's like a decent concept that's short. So Ursa, she's probably the most badass of all of them in terms of fighting. I'll have her in good. I will have Kenji in good. I didn't mind them. I thought they were good characters. It just wasn't explored enough. Torres I didn't like as much. And honestly, I didn't like the segment. I didn't like the approach with him, and I'm going to call it dumb. I just thought it's like, oh, so he can't be a mechanic, but he can figure out how to use a predator arm thing. Maybe I missed how he figured that out, but I didn't really identify with that one. Okay, so that takes us to Predators, 2010-ish. Again, a little like the original Predator, you've got a smaller segment of cast that's responsible for fighting. This really is the killer of killers concept I was just talking about, to maybe a wrong extreme to me, where we're gonna hodgepodge these people in. They fly in parachutes because they're knocked out and stolen from the earth and put on this planet. And of course, we need an American sniper, and we need the African warrior, and we need the Russian special forces, those things. But then they have a couple nuanced ones. It's like, oh, I'm going to have, a death row inmate, like super most wanted Walter Goggins character. Okay. I don't know what that gets you, unless he's like the best killer ever. Like, explain that. But then they also have this guy. This is Topher Grace. Topher Grace is Edwin. He drops in, and you're like, why is that guy here? He doesn't fit here. They kind of just say that, and maybe they get it. Like Adrian Brody's character actually kind of gets it earlier than I feel like he did. But wouldn't you be going like, well, yeah, he's probably here because he's lying to us and he's actually something, and we just don't know what it is. Um, but I get it. Alien world, lots of stress, but everybody else is like supposedly a killer and a badass. So Edwin is the whole time you're like fish out of water. Then he ends up being a serial killer. Uh, you what follow this guy around as a predator? Like, oh yeah, that one. I'm gonna hunt that one because I see him hunting people over tens of years. Like, I didn't quite get what that was, and then I thought he was miscast. Like, I don't. Topher Grace is just not good in anything that I've seen. Like, I don't enjoy him on the screen. He kind of takes me out of things. So I'm gonna have him as dumb. I don't think it was like extremely bad. Could be close, but he's down there. All right. Then we have Hanzo. So Hanzo's quiet. I think he does speak English. They figured that out at some point. But he is the kind of Yakuza type dude from Japan. Has some similar things to like Kenji. He's got the sword. So this dude actually, pulls out a sword and battles the predator who pulls out his, claws or what have you, and they have a little sword fight, and he ends up dying, but he kills a predator. You could see that as cool. I mean, it was kind of cool, but it's also kind of like, I guess the predator is just like, yeah, I'll fight you, with whatever weapon you've got. So it's fine. I mean, the movie was kind of dumb in that regard. I thought he was fine as a character. He didn't take me out of it. I'll have him as like good, maybe compared to some of the others, but we'll see. Okay, Isabel. So Isabel, I don't remember what she is, like her designation of like what force she was in or anything. She seems to have more of the sniper type rifle. I didn't mind her. I thought she was fine. I enjoyed her as like a secondary side, character. She survives for the moment when the movie's over. I wanted her to survive. I thought she was fine. She figures out that Adrian Brody's kind of lying and what his intents are and everything and questions, but then, rebuilds trust and that kind of stuff. So I liked her. I'll have her as good. This is, I think it's Mombasa. Yeah, Mombasa, African warrior. Not in it a whole lot, dies pretty quick comparatively. In fact, I think I didn't even get Danny Trejo in here. I might need to get him. Or I can just talk about him a little bit. But Mombasa is killed first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. I don't know. There's some exposition at the beginning. But doesn't really do much, doesn't really show much. I'll have him as okay. I thought it was a kind of cool character, but he doesn't really do anything. I remember him, but I just don't remember him doing anything of consequence other than like fighting maybe Walter Goggins at the beginning. Okay, then we have Nikolai. So Nikolai is the Russian guy. I was kind of glad what they did with him because sometimes, and I know it's not the 80s, but sometimes they just take the Russians and, it's like, okay, hardcore Russian guy, and yeah, he's not really relatable and cold as steel, whatever. But this guy was pretty relatable. I think had a family, was a good soldier. He ended up sacrificing himself but took a predator out with him. He was getting ready to die and he got a grenade up in him or something. So I liked him. He had the chain gun as well, or whatever you call that Blaine had. So pretty cool character there. So I liked him. I'll have him as good. Then we have Lawrence Fishburne. Kind of a surprise. Oh my gosh, Lawrence Fishburne's in this. I didn't know that. Nolan didn't come with the rest of them. He's a survivor that's been on the planet for 10 years or something like that. He seems to take them in. You think he's a predator at first. He's got the mask on, but he's not. Takes him in, shows him where he lives. He's been, able to survive and scavenge and stuff for a long time. Ultimately, goes to sleep. They all go to sleep, and then he like sets the place on fire because his intent is let's like smoke them out to kill them and then steal their stuff. Like, I'm here to survive. I don't care about you guys. Wasn't like he's a serial killer and that's what he's doing. It's like, no, this is me looking out for myself and trying to find a way to survive. So he does that, but he ends up meeting his maker, getting killed. And so he was fine. I'll have him as okay. I didn't really care for it. I didn't think it was like dumb or anything, but it was just okay. He did fine in his role, but I didn't know, I didn't really feel like that role was all that necessary. Okay, then we have Adrian Brody as Royce. Royce is the kind of badass American soldier, takes the lead, doesn't really tell him what he's trying to do. So he's not like a Dutch where he's like a good leader in that regard. And then it's Adrian Brody as kind of badass. I don't know if he's been in any other movies that are like action. Might be wrong. But he's okay. He was okay. I'm not going to sit here and say he was like super bad at it or super dumb. I mean, he's a decent actor. It didn't resonate with me that he's that. There's better, I think, actors they could have put in that type of role. You might have had him as more of like a Pancho role in this, but he's not a Dutch, and he ends up being kind of the Dutch character with the caking himself with mud and all that by the end. Yeah, it didn't really resonate with me. I'll have him as okay. Then we have Walter Goggins. Walter Goggins is always funny. He's got that personality. He's always in the Danny McBride shows. It was great. The joke with this one was he only had knives. He couldn't do anything with a gun. Nobody would give him a gun because they didn't trust him because he was an inmate or most wanted or whatever. But he actually has a redeeming quality. He comes back and stabs at the predator. Now he meets a brutal end, getting his head and spine ripped out. But he fights and does some damage with his knives. He's a good fighter. I actually liked him. I thought he was a fun character. Again, does it make a whole lot of sense? It doesn't. The movie doesn't, but he's good. I don't know if any of the characters are really great in it, so I won't say that, but they're all good. All right, we get to Prey, and I said Danny Trejo. I left off. He's in it. He's in a very short thing. He doesn't really do anything. He dies like before he does anything, and maybe that's why I just didn't have him in here. He does have a few lines and stuff, so I guess I could have added him, but he would just be okay. Okay, so Prey. Prey is the Native American back in the 1700s. They are a tribe that has issues with like a mountain lion or something, and then there's a bear. So it's like more just the natural order of things and tracking and finding stuff. But then we have a girl here, Nehru, who is the younger sister of the guy who becomes the war chief. But she feels like she doesn't get enough respect as like a hunter. Her thing is, I can do all these things, and they try to encourage her, like, oh, you're great at, cooking, or you're great at whatever, but no, you don't need to be out hunting. And she does display, sometimes she struggles in the hunting game. She's like by a bear, she tries to pull bow and arrow, misfires, doesn't even shoot, goes backwards, something. Just other instances where she doesn't, realize her surroundings and gets in trouble. But she's learning how to like use a hatchet and throw it with the rope and bring it back and do some things. So she's gaining skill a little bit, probably too fast comparatively, where she all of a sudden is very skillful by the end. And you don't really see all that early on. So a little bit of the like Mary Sue thing, not egregiously terrible maybe because the predator is also a little incompetent in this one. But she's fine. She's the actress was fine. I think I said in the other one, I was struggling with the movie in general because it was in English. I would rather listen in like Comanche and read subtitles, which there's a version like that now, but it's dubbed. So what's the point? Uh, she was fine. The movie centered around her. Um, I'll have her as good to start. I mean, again, I wasn't like super invested in this movie or the characters in it, um, but she was okay. All right, then we have a couple of the warriors that are the side warriors. I struggled a bit. I mean, you could differentiate them, but their personalities were pretty similar. One, like this one here, was a little bit more, and I think this is Paka. Paka was a little bit more caring for a neighborhood. Like they all ribbed her a bit, but he maybe wasn't such an a-hole. Uh, and he was fine. I'll have him as okay. I think he's the one who kind of saved her and then tried to run through the grass and then ends up getting caught and killed. And then the other one who is at the end here is Wasape, and he's the one who's more of the mean one. But he ends up getting killed by the predator too. Um, and I'll have him in the okay category. Like they were both fine as side warriors. They fought well. Like when the warriors fought, they were pretty formidable for what the predator was throwing at them, which was a little more old school technology than some of the other predators. Okay, and then we have the guy here, and I brought him in, Raphael, who is a translator that works for the French. The French captured Nehru and her brother. We haven't got to him yet, Tabe. But Raphael he's not a good guy, but he tries to, help her a little bit and give her some stuff. So he ends up like being injured, and she helps him by giving him the stuff that makes your blood cool or something where the predator can't see you. He ends up dying anyway. But why he's important is the gun that's in Predator 2 is his gun. And he gives it to her and trains her how to use it. She doesn't really know how to use it after she's gotten it anyway the first time. But eventually it becomes the gun that knocks off the mask of the Predator that helps her to kill the Predator. So, important guy there. That said, I really didn't like this character. I thought he was kind of dumb and it didn't really fit the tone. The French thing kind of felt a little hokey comparatively. So I'm going to have him down in the dumb category. Then we had Tabe. So Tabe is the brother. He becomes the war chief of the tribe after killing a mountain lion that's like ravaging the prior war chief and other people, I guess. He's a good brother. He's encouraging, tries to help her, lets her come along. She says, oh, she's good at this. She can come with us with, the other guys. Does get to a point where she almost gets killed by the mountain lion, like it's knocked out and he has to save her. And he does bring her back. And then she's insistent that there's something else out there. It's not just that. And, that they didn't really kill it. And he's like, yeah, you didn't. I did. He's kind of finally frustrated enough to be like, I had to save your ass, and still went out and killed the mountain lion. But she ends up being right. There is something else. And then he finally experiences it after he's caught by the French, and the French get killed. And then they're like tied to a post, and then they have to fight the predator. He fights on horseback for a while, which is cool. And then ends up getting the blades in him. But does scramble back and actually stab the predator to allow Nehru to get away. So good brother, dies with some admirable intentions. I'll have him in the good category too. Like he's fine. All right, and that takes us to the Predator, the last one. So the Predator, and maybe we'll finish the Predator and then I'll make a separate video for the ranking just so that it can stand alone. The Predator has a bunch of weird characters. There is a group called the Loonies, which are these soldiers who have post-traumatic stress disorder, did something bad in the field, have been in psych wards. The main character, Quinn, I think is his name, is not one of those, but is framed as one of those because the Predator comes and kills some folks in his group, and he is blamed for it to cover it up. And ultimately gets put in with the Loonies or in a bus, and then they go on their adventure together. You know what? The movie's dumb. It's not good. I think it was like the lowest on the ones that I watched. Uh, there's stupid points to the plot we'll talk about a little bit, but some of the characters I actually enjoyed, and it's maybe because I like some of the actors in certain things. Not that they're great and everything, but so we'll run through them here. So we have Thomas Jane as the kind of, I think Baxley's his name, but he's got brain damage from like one of the other characters doing friendly fire, but they're both in the same group, which is kind of crazy, and they still have a connection. So he has this tick, and he has like Tourette's kind of a deal, and he's just I would not. If somebody said he's a dumb character and put him in dumb, I'd be like, I get it. I get why you're going there. But I actually somewhat enjoyed him. I'll have him in the okay category to start. But yeah, he was okay. Kind of fun. All right, we have Olivia Munn as Casey. I got a little confused on this one because I don't remember if I missed something. What I questioned if I missed was, does she have some sort of like military training or something? Because I thought she was just a biologist. And the whole movie, after like the initial part where she is asked to come in and look at the predator, be like, oh, this is what I think it is. She like turns into a soldier and is jumping around, jumping on buses, jumping on spaceship, or jumping around spaceship, whatever. Doing a lot of stuff that I'm like, wow, how's the average person doing this? This seems like you got to be trained for this. So maybe she was, and I missed it, but a little too much of that. I'll have it as okay again. And if she's okay, maybe I'll move Thomas Jane up to good. And they could move around. We'll see. All right. This is from Key and Peele. This is Key, I think, who I think is funny. I like him in their skits. Most of their skits and stuff, and I find him to be somewhat funny. Could he be annoying in certain instances? Yes. I thought the movie was so dumb. I really didn't like, and it was intended to have some dark comedy to it, that it wasn't like taking me out of a serious movie by having a dumb character, and it was already dumb. And I thought he was pretty funny. So this is the character that had the friendly fire that hit Thomas Jane, and they are kind of friends, and yet he really gives Thomas Jane a hard time too. But I thought he was fine. I liked him. I thought he was good. Okay, this is a lesser character a little bit, but I included her. And Key's character's name's Coyle. I don't even know if I said that. So this is Emily. Emily's the husband of Quinn, who's or ex maybe husband. I think they had separated at least. But she's kind of the understanding ex where, oh, he's bringing these crazy people to my house, but I know he's in trouble, and I know he's probably sincere, and I don't, we broke up more because he's like always gone and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But she's we have a gun hidden behind here, and here you go. Like kind of a, ex-wife. So she was fine. She was okay. Like I didn't get taken out of the movie again by her. It's just within the context of the movie, she's okay. Okay. Interesting character here. More of a minor character, but his name is Keyes. Just like in Predator 2, because he is the son of the character in Predator 2. He is also the son of Gary Busey. So they obviously did that intentionally, but he's the scientist of the group that's watching the Predator that thinks it's a good idea to not really have too many restraints on the Predator for some reason, and it easily breaks out and kills everybody once it wakes up. But he warns Olivia Munn to not let it escape and dies off camera. So he's just a minor character, but just a kind of cool little homage there to the other one. I'll have him as okay. We have Lynch. Lynch, I've seen in some few things. The actor Lynch dies. He gets the laser pointer on him while he's sniping. I think this guy was like in Game of Thrones and maybe something else. I always thought he looked a little like if they were doing like an Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses biopic, maybe this is the guy you get. But he's he does like magic trick, I remember, on the bus, but he doesn't do a whole lot else. I'll have him as okay. Less memorable than maybe some of the others. Then we have Nebraska. Nebraska is he's got a smoking habit, which like has a cigarette here. And I thought he was a fine character. He's like a good buddy to the main character, like getting to know him and reliable, and does some good things before meeting his end. But yeah, I thought Nebraska was a pretty cool character. I'll have him as good. And then Nettles was kind of funny. Oh, and I should have said Nebraska died by like sacrificing. He was one of the sacrifice people where he jumped in the engine to take down the Predator. So good death. And I should have said too, with the two guys, with Thomas Jane and Key, when they were dying, they were both like pinned against. One was pinned against a tree, and one was pinned against the ground. They were like dying, but suffering, and so they ended up shooting each other at the same time. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, do you go on three? Like, do you know when the other one's going to shoot? Like, are you able to react that quick? I don't know. But they ended up shooting each other at the exact same time and taking each other out. But I also bring up the sacrifice because Nettles here died right before that. He's on the ship, but the ship puts a shield up and it cuts him in half and he flies off the ship. But he's kind of a quirky dude. The dude, like, nobody feels comfortable around. Just weird kind of personality. But okay. I thought he was fine. He's kind of funny. And then we have Quinn. So Quinn is the main guy, which, you're trying to carry a movie. Now they did have the Loonies, so they had like side characters, but this guy was very bland, I thought. Just like super, didn't really care about him at all. Nothing really to it. I won't say he was dumb because I don't think he really did anything dumb. He was just kind of like okay, and if he wasn't like the main character, I'd almost have it as forgettable. Just meh. Okay, I'm going to skip here for just a second, and then we'll finish it with him. Traeger is the bad guy, so he's like the dude that's trying to get the technology and willing to kill people to do it. It's kind of got a weird personality where like he's super in charge and get pissed off easy, but treats you nice until you piss him off. Yeah, he's okay. He's okay too. So a lot of okay there with the main characters. So now we get to Rory. And I told you, I think in a prior video, that kids often take me out of movies, like 98% of the time. Newt was an exception. Newt was great. This kid was fine as an actor. It's nothing against him. The story of this movie is that he's autistic, and due to his autism, he's able to like understand predator technology like it's the evolution of humanity. Like they say that. And this is, he's got this skill, and he ends up getting employed at the end. He's like survives, and he's employed as a child at this facility where they get an Iron Man like suit, which makes sense because the guy who directed Iron Man 3, which is terrible, is there. And the Iron Man 3 also had a terrible kid in it. Took me out of that movie. But again, stupid plot, stupid character. Didn't need to have a kid, didn't need to do it this way. Don't know what they were trying to like preach in this movie. But I will have him in the extremely bad category. Again, nothing against the kid himself. I'm sure the actor's great. I don't know if he's in anything else. But man, extremely bad. All right, so that'll wrap up this video. Then we'll come back and I will rank them and we'll be done.